السلام عليكم.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Tonight, inshallah, we will continue the second lecture on Qurud, and we covered very important part last time and very significant issues that a lot of people and a lot of Muslims, if not all, those who are dealing with other people in business transactions and in money and in anything that has to do with borrowing, lending, and loaning should know. So tonight we will continue and we will try to discuss some of the contemporary transactions that involve or might involve this kind of lending and loaning, lending and borrowing, and we'll try to dissect it down to see where we can avoid the haram and where we can make such transactions permissible and where we can try to stay away from that which is haram, and there is no way to try to make it halal. The main point of al-qurud, borrowing and lending, the focus for you to understand it very easily and very simply, there is one major point, and that is manfa'a min al-qurud. And what we mean by that is benefits out of loans. Benefits out of loans. If you understand where the benefit that is produced because of a loan, where it goes and where it becomes haram and where it becomes halal, you will understand very much every transaction that has to do with such aspect, and you will be able to distinguish is it permissible or not. If you understand the issue of gaining some kind of, if I can call it, kickback, okay, or some kind of benefit due to the transaction of lending and borrowing, because at the end of the day, lending and borrowing is a transaction. If we understand where the benefit can be haram and where it can be permissible, then we will understand in any scenario, in any situation that comes up, okay, this is something that is happening as a result of a loan. Now we look at it and we say, is it permissible or not? By understanding the fundamentals, then you will be able to answer a lot of questions, and most of these questions, if you understand such fundamental that we will be discussing today. And that is manfa'a fil qurud. Manfa'a fil qurud. The benefits that come out as a result of a debt, as a result of lending, as a result of borrowing, as a result of a loan. There are benefits. So if we can know which benefits are okay and which benefits aren't, then we can apply any kind of transaction into this thing and into this formula, and we will know what is okay and what is haram. If you look at al-qard, and that is exchange, usually we know that the rule of riba, as we spoke about before, that when we exchange money for money, the two conditions that have to be met are, it has to be done simultaneously, right there on the spot, and it has to be equal, same amount. So if I exchange dollar for dollar, if I give you $100 one piece, you have to give me $100. If I'm seeking change, you give me $100 single. If you say, listen, if If I give you one piece, it's more beneficial to you and easier to transport, for example. So I give you $100, you give me $99, singles. That is riba. And sometimes it's common when it comes to coins. You know, you can go to a bank, for example, and you take your coins that you have saving over the years, and you dump it into a machine, and the total of your coins, let's say $1,000. How much are they going to give you? $1,000? They don't give you $1,000. Are they charging you fixed fee? Whether you had $1,000 in change or you had $100 in change, we're going to charge you $5 as a fee. No, they're not doing that. They usually charge you what? Percentage. And that is riba. This percentage is riba. Because you are exchanging money for money, different amounts. Alright? And it's based on the percentage. But if it was a fixed fee, fee for the machine, fee for the maintenance, fee for the guy who's going to come and collect the coins, then that is understood. And usually the effort is the same. So that is where we need to understand very well. So when we talk about money, exchanging money for money, exchanging wheat for wheat, exchanging dates for dates, we have to say simultaneously on the spot. But with al-qurud, if you think about it, it's the same thing. It's exchanging money for money. I'm giving you money and you give me back money. Okay? So the issue of if you give me back more, we have problem. Exception, with some exceptions that we mentioned some last time. If I give you money, so in this way, that rule is understood. That detail about it has to be the same, we all agree. But the issue with lending and borrowing and with loans is usually I don't get back on the spot. And what is the point? I give you the money and usually you give me back later, right? In a month, in a week, in 2 days. So this piece of information or this condition is violated. That is why qurud is an exception. Qurud, loans, lending and borrowing, is exception for the rule. Because the rule is clear. When we exchange money for money, we have to have equal and simultaneous. With qurud, we are exchanging money for money at the end of the day, but we are missing one condition, and that is simultaneously. That is the Sharia made this permissible as an exception for the rule to make it easy on people. Because people need to borrow money. People need to lend each other. You understand? So this becomes that qurud or loans or lending and borrowing is an exception for the original rule of a riba. Because that was a riba. If I give you $100 and you give me 90, that is a riba. If I give you $100 and you give me $100 in 2 days, that is riba, unless it's qard, it's a loan, and we agreed on that. If I give you 100 grams of gold, and you pay me for the 100 grams of gold tomorrow, that is riba. Remember? Because we said it's in the same category. You cannot buy gold and pay for it later. Okay? You cannot buy gold, say, I buy 100 grams of gold, and I'll come back tomorrow to pay. Or here's 50%, I'll come back tomorrow to pay. That is riba. But when it comes to qurud, we make that exception, and that is paying or exchanging later at a certain time that agreed on. So, if this is the rule, and the point behind this exception to make it easy for people, then we have to understand that any person who lends money with the intention of making some gain, that falls under riba. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the exception with the loans and with lending and borrowing to make it easy on people. So if anyone comes to take advantage of this privilege and think that, you know what, it's permissible to give someone money and collect later on, so I'm gonna do it and try to gain something out of it. That gain out of it that the lender puts is riba. So when we talk about benefits of al-qurud or gains of al-qurud, the first point that we're talking about is the gain that the lender gets. Okay? The gain that the lender himself gets. And usually, because there's a few exceptions, but usually and mainly it's riba. So when you lend someone money, any gain you're gonna get, most of the time it's gonna be riba. Any gain because of the loan. Alright? Any gain because of the loan. So that is something we have to understand very well. Okay? And we will talk about what's about the borrower. If he gets any gain, we will talk about that as we go on. So in general, just in other words, if I'm a lender, when I lend, I should expect the same in return. If I expect more, it's riba. Alright? When I lend someone money, when I lend someone benefit, remember we talked about benefit and labor. When I lend someone specific things, then I expect when he pays me back, because that is one that part of the definition of loan, is that you make someone in possession of something, that certain thing with the money, cow, camel, whatever, and so he can benefit from it, and then he will return what's similar. Will return equal amount or similar amount. Okay? So as a lender, when I give that thing and lend it to him, I expect, my intention should be that I get back what's equal if it's possible, or what's similar when it's not possible to be equal. Good. Because we said some things you can get back equal. If I give you $100, you can give me back $100. There's no problem with that. But if I lend you a camel, most probably you will not get me back the exact description of the camel I gave you. Maybe you're gonna be younger, maybe older, maybe skinnier, maybe whatever. Alright? So you're not going, so we said that is also permissible, as in the hadith that we had mentioned before. Also the ulama of Islam have consensus. Okay? They have the consensus and they all agree. And anyone who violates such consensus is insignificant. And the reason I mention that, because you find some of the muftis of these days who gave fatwa and who issued fatwa violating this consensus. And whatever the believers and the ulama, especially of the ummah, agree on as in consensus, then it's haram for anyone to violate. Haram. And usually when there is consensus amongst the ulama, that is because there is a clear proof and clear evidence and clear dalil from the Quran and the Sunnah. That is why they get in full agreement. Usually when they disagree, maybe because of the way they understood the dalil, maybe because someone received the dalil someone else did, maybe someone thought the dalil that they had was strong and it wasn't. Many reasons. Okay? That's why the Sahaba differ as well. We don't expect all the Sahaba heard all the sayings and saw all the actions and witnessed all the approvals and were there at all the rejections that came out of the Prophet. And they estimate the number of the Sahaba to be 100,000 plus. You don't expect them all sitting in the masjid listening to the Prophet at one time. Alright? So that's why they differ. One got the dalil, one didn't. Or maybe they both got the same dalil, but each one understood it different. You all know the story of Bani Qurayb. Okay? Or the story of Umar bin Khattab telling them about the plague in Sham. Now we don't enter because there is a plague. So they said, you run away from the qadr of Allah. He said, yeah, we run from the qadr of Allah to the qadr of Allah. Then Abdurrahman bin Auf comes in and say, I have a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. If you come to a place where there's a plague, don't enter it if you're out of it, and don't leave it if you're inside of it. That is a dalil they accept. You understand? Not all of them heard it. Okay? And I think Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah was with them too. He didn't hear it. Actually, Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah died from that plague. So it's very important that when there is, the dalil has different interpretation, then we accept different possible interpretation. Possible. Because you hear some interpretation that It's unbelievable. There is no way that I can take that dalil and deduce from it such interpretation. There's no way. So such interpretation is rejected. Usually when the dalil can handle different interpretation. If the dalil says that Salat al-Dhuhr is 4 rak'ah, and someone comes and he said, I think 4 rak'ah is because the Prophet ﷺ doesn't want to make it hard for you, but I think we should do it 6. Such an interpretation cannot be tolerated by the dalil, so it's rejected. Alright? So when the ulama have the consensus and the agreement amongst them, the ulama of Ahl Sunnah, the ulama al-Rabbaniyin, the ulama al-Jahabila, the ulama that have respect, and the ulama who are known for their knowledge and for their fear of Allah, they all agree that riba or gain due to gain for the lender because of his loan is haram, and they all agree it's haram. Then anyone who comes after that to violate such consensus, his dalil is rejected, or his opinion is rejected. That's why we heard these days and a few years back that taking interest on your money in the bank is permissible. There are fatwa go around like that. Alright? Someone who follows his desires will stick to those. But we know the consensus is otherwise. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the consensus in the Quran. There is a dalil on the consensus. Who knows? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَمَن يَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى. And whoever follows a path other than the path of the believers. Okay? So the ulama understood from this ayah that the path of the believers is what the believers agree on. The truth. So when the ulama have consensus that taking benefits or gaining something out of a loan you had given to someone is riba, then anyone who goes beyond that has violated the ijma'. Alright? So the ulama have agreed that if I'm someone lending money and I put a condition on the borrower, that condition will give me some benefit, alright? And most of the time we're talking about, because some exceptions I'll mention in a little bit. If I put a condition that will give me back a kickback or will benefit me because of my loan to him, then that is riba. Okay? Ibn Qudama mentioned that in Mughni, Ijma', Ibn Hazm, Baji, Ibn al-Mundar. A lot of these ulama mentioned the Ijma'. There is no doubt about it. Alright? So that is something I will mention some examples for you to understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, this gain that we're talking about when it comes to riba can be tangible. Tangible gain from the same type. So for example, I give you $100, I put a condition on you, and you pay me back, you pay me $110. So the $10 is tangible and from the same type. That is a gain. That is riba. Okay? Also, it can be tangible but different kind. For example, I give you $100, you tell me, and I tell you, you pay me back $100. We're okay so far. And you let me use your car for a week. That is riba. Or you let me live in your house for a week, for a month, until you pay me, whatever. Okay? That is riba. That is riba. So here it's tangible, something touchable, something we can see, and at the same time from different kind. Can be in the description. The addition or the gain can be in the description. For example, I give you I lend you a skinny camel, skinny cow, bad car, whatever it is, and you put the condition, you give me back fat cow, right? Healthy horse, and you give me back sick horse. So that is in the description. That is also riba. But we know the Prophet ﷺ gave a better camel. Why was that okay?
It was not a condition.
Because the lender did not put that condition. And we will talk about this details. Okay.
Not in money.
Huh?
Not in money.
What do you mean?
Like you give me $100, we didn't put any condition. I can give you 120.
We'll talk about it.
But he said
We'll talk.
it's okay to be generous too.
We'll talk about it. Okay? Now, when we talk about loans, when I mention money, that doesn't mean the example I'm mentioning at hand is only applying to money. If I don't mention money, that doesn't mean that example does not apply to money. So far, unless there is an exception that only applies to money, doesn't apply to anything else, I'll mention. But everything I say applies to everything that people can lend and borrow. Alright? Everything. Okay. قول المؤلف ابن قدامة وقد تكون الزيادة منفعة أخرى كان يشترط عليه أن يسكن دارا أو يركب سيد أو يركب دابته أو يعمل له عملا من الأعمال. As I said, the riba, that the gain that comes along with a loan can be of the same type, can be a service, extra usage of his car or his whatever transport, his vehicle, whatever it is. So any time the lender puts that condition of an extra gain due to his loan, okay, that listen, I'll give you $100, but when you pay me back, you pay me my money, and because you're generous, you give me something else, or you give me a gift. All right, he wants to call it a gift, so he doesn't call it riba. All that is riba. All that. Now we are talking about the lender putting the condition. We will talk about the borrower volunteering to give extra. The borrower volunteering to give a gift along with the loan. The borrower volunteering to give a service. All right? Okay? I'm a dentist. I borrow $1,000 from you. I pay you back and I tell you just come for a free clean, for example. All right? You wash cars, whatever. Come, let me wash your car and you pay me. That is something we will talk about. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. And we will talk when it's okay and when it's not. All right. First, the adillah that riba is haram, and putting this addition is clear. There is no need that the adillah from the Quran and the Sunnah are so abundant that there is no need, but we will mention a few, inshallah. Usually the generality of the ayat in the Quran. الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. All these ayat. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا. Or you will believe, fear Allah, and abandon what's left of a riba. So all these ayat and more and more hadith are clear evidence of a riba. So far we covered the point that is the lender cannot put a condition of any gain because of his loan that he had given. Also, there's a hadith, and the hadith is weak, but some of the ulama said it's sound because of too many reports of it. That is, كل قرض جر منفعة فهو ربا. Okay, the meaning of the hadith is sahih. The meaning of the hadith is sahih, but the hadith itself is weak. Okay, but the meaning the ulama have agreed on it. That is, every loan that brings the benefit back is riba. Every loan that will give benefit is riba. But remember, this applies to the lender. This benefit applies to the lender. It doesn't apply to the borrower. And we will talk about that, what I really mean by that. Also, the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith, نهى عن سلف وبيع. Prophet ﷺ forbade two transactions at the same time. Salaf, which is lending, and bay', which is selling. And what that is, it's not allowed to have two transactions, one of them lending at the same time. Why? I cannot, let's say I'm selling this water, I cannot lend you, let's say, $100 or borrow $100 from you, and at the same time I sell you this bottle. You can do it at different times when the two contracts have nothing to do with each other. They said that is haram because if the fact you lend me money or I lend you money will affect the price I'm gonna sell you. So now, I sell it for $1 and you just lend me at $100, so I might feel embarrassed, so I will give it to you for 90 cents. Did you as a lender gain some benefit? Yeah, most probably because of the loan. Understand? To that point. Now.
And that's riba for both of them.
That is what?
That's considered riba for both of them.
Of course, when we talk about riba, when we talk about someone who's receiving, because we hear this, that it's riba, it's haram to take it. But if you're giving it, it's okay. You hear that? So when he goes to buy a house, you tell him it's riba, he said, yeah brother, it's riba if I take the riba, but I'm giving it. Then you're a fool. You are part of this transaction. Alright? And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he cursed. آكل الربا ومعطيه. Okay? So, yeah.
No, I understand that both of them are involved and
Yeah.
both of them are, they will be held accountable for
Yes.
riba. It's just because we're speaking about the lender, in this case, that any loan that brings benefit is
We're talking about the lender here. Okay? We're talking about the lender.
because he didn't know that he's given him 10 cents.
No, if he doesn't know, it's a different story. But here we're talking about the transaction itself. Two transactions at the same time, including the lending, is not allowed. نهى عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن سلف وبيع. Alright? Something like that. Okay. But if the two transactions are different, if you leave me $100 at home and then later on you pass by, you need to buy water and you stop by my store and you buy the water, that has nothing to do with both. So, okay? Okay. Some of the rulings that we all need to understand concerning lending and borrowing and pay attention to them. قرض من عقود التبرعات. Lending and borrowing. قرض. In Islam, we said it's a kind of transactions that completely out of good heart. Voluntarily, out of good heart. Which means, as a lender, I should have no intention to making some gain out of it. If that happens, then I'm violating the contract. Okay? Because we said there are uqud tabarru'at and there are uqud. It's either you do it for
Labor.
out of good heart or you do it.
Benefit money.
Yeah, what did we call it?
Benefit.
Benefit. What does that mean? What did we call it?
Beneficiary.
Gain.
La.
Gain.
Beneficiary.
Beneficiary?
Gain.
Tijari.
بالعربية.
Yeah, we call it something. What is it? You give him something, you expect something in return. Okay? Mu'awad. He wants compensation. Mu'awad. Either I give you something and I don't expect anything in return, you just give it back to me the way I gave it to you, or I give you something, I sell you something and I expect something benefit. Mu'awad. Okay, awad, compensation. So since most of the ulama agree that this kind of transaction, lending and borrowing, is completely out of goodwill and out of good heart and voluntarily, and then there should be no intention of making any gain out of it. Once that happens, then we violated the contract. All right? Okay. Also, one of the rules, كل ما صح بيعه صح قرضه. Anything that is permissible to buy and sell, it's also permissible to lend. Okay? Because we said some of the ulama said only مثليات, we said قيميات and all that. So anything sells and buys, it can be lent. And the brother mentioned
Wives.
the wife. you can lend the wife. All right. Last time we mentioned, I said who knows an exception? He said wife. All right. كل قرض جر منفعة فهو ربا. That's another rule. Every loan that brings benefit is considered riba. Okay? And here, this is a general rule. Right? This is general. Every general rule most probably will have exception. So let's dissect this rule very precisely and understand what it means. كل منفعة كل قرض جر منفعة فهو ربا. In general, any loan that brings benefit is riba. But you can understand, but the fact that I'm borrowing money is to bring benefit to myself. I'm borrowing money to buy food. I'm borrowing money to build a house. So definitely this is not what we mean by that. Okay? Because that's the point. But someone will say, I'm lending money so Allah can give me a reward. Allah can forgive me. I make it easy for Muslims so Allah can make it easy on me. That is benefit. That is the greatest benefit. That is not what we're talking about either. You understand? So let's understand exactly what we mean by saying every loan that brings benefit, brings a kickback, is considered riba. Okay. First, manfa'a can be conditional and can be unconditional. We already agreed, and that's the consensus of the ulama, that if the lender puts that benefit and that gain as a condition, is haram. Alright? If he puts it as a condition, then it's haram. If he doesn't put it as a condition, then also we detail with that. We detail with that. Is the thing he did not put as a condition something that used to happen before and now it's just happening again? So the fact that he lent this person money did not change the fact that this person was benefiting him from before. Or is it a new benefit that is happening after he lent him the money? So now forget about the lender putting that condition. Now this new gain is happening by itself. The lender did not ask for it. But it's happening, either it used to happen before and just continues and carries on, or it's now started after he gave such loan. Okay. We'll give the examples of that inshallah. Also, when we say every loan that brings benefit is riba, that exclude the benefit that the borrowers gain. That exclude a benefit that is common between the lender and the borrower. What that means? For example, the borrower borrows $100,000 that he's supposed to pay it over 10 months, 10 payments. The lender comes to him after a couple of months. He tells him, if you pay me the whole thing next month, the lift, what's left, let's say after 2 months, 800 lift. If you pay me 700 next month, I will waive the other $100. Is that benefit for the borrower or not?
Yes. You get it $100.
Yes, that is permissible. If the borrower comes to the lender and tells him, listen, I know I still owe you $800, but I have $500. If I give you the $500, will you waive the rest? If the lender says yes, is that benefit for the borrower or not? That is permissible. So mainly when we talk about benefit, that the loan that brings benefit is haram, usually we're talking about the lender gaining that benefit, not the borrower. Okay? You buy Islamically a house and you pay early, prepay. So usually they will waive some of the money. Okay? The money that they might or they would have charged you for the next 20 years. Let's say you buy a house over 30 years, Islamically. So they're going to calculate, okay, the house is this, the interest rate is this, so we, over 30 years, we sell you the house for this amount, the number, the result. So you come to them after 5 years, 10 years, they say, I want to pay it off. So what they usually do, they will waive that interest that applied to the principal for 20 years after. All right? That is permissible. However, this should not be a condition at the initiation of the contract. In other words, you're lending me $1,000. So we are writing the contract that Muhammad lending Ahmed $1,000. Ahmed, as a borrower, putting the condition that if he pays his whole thing that's supposed to be paid over a year in 6 months, Muhammad will forgive him up to $200. You cannot do that. That's something emergent or emerge comes later. If it happens, it happens. You don't have to agree on it on that day of the initiation of the contract. All right? Now,
Won't we have to mention that to the bank? Because, okay, they know that.
usually banks have it as a policy. I mean,
What
you wanna ask
understand?
about it. When you ask about it, they will tell you there is no penalty on prepay. They usually tell you. Okay? Their part of their contract is that, but you never put it in. You never asked for it. You never chose it. But it's there. Now, if it's not there, you will say, I don't like this contract. You move on. All right? That can be one of the reasons you decide to go along with that contract. But you never put it as a condition yourself. All right? And apply it to that. All right. منفعة غير مشروطة للمقرض عند الوفاء جائز. Remember when I said about the gift that you asked? I said sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, even if it's money. What that means is, and the ulama talk about gift. This gift can be monetary, this gift can be something, can be object, can be whatever. If this gift is given before the debt is paid off, then it's riba. Got it? All right. Example. You lend me $1,000. Today supposed to come and pay you. So I pay you the $1,000. And with it alone, I give you a gift. No problem. You lend me $1,000. Today I'm supposed to pay it off. I come and I pay you the $1,000. Tomorrow I knock on your door. I give you a gift. No problem. You lend me $1,000, and tomorrow I'm supposed to pay you, and today I bring you a gift. Riba.
Most likely he's not going to pay me next day.
Riba.
Tasbira.
Yeah.
Tasbira.
Is there a exception? I remember last time you said if the borrower.
Yeah. So again, you guys understand that the logic. If that gift is given at the time of al-wafa, meaning at the time of paying off your debt to the lender, or after you paid him off, then there is no problem. That has nothing to do with riba. That is from al-ihsan.
Before.
If the problem is, if I'm giving you the gift before I pay you off, because most probably I need something. That is riba. And why is it riba? because you're gaining benefit because of your loan as a borrower. So really, where is the main problem here? Giving the gift or rejecting it? Who should be more concerned? The one who gives the gift or the one who rejects?
One
Who rejects?
Yeah. Because that is mainly where the riba is. Because it's a benefit out of loan to the lender. Alright? So be aware. But at the same time, the one who's inviting to that behavior is also responsible. تعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. You cooperate with the right things, with the good things, or with the righteous things, bir, righteousness, taqwa, and you do not cooperate on others. Opposite of that. Ma'asiyah, ithm, udwan, oppression, aggression. Well, I'm getting him in trouble. Right? Now, I'm bringing him a bottle of wine. We know it's haram to drink. But the fact I brought it to him, does that make me responsible too? Of course. Of course. Okay? So something had become haram that is by default is halal. Usually is halal. But because of the way it's been handled, it turns into haram. Gifts usually permissible. No one says gifts are haram. The Prophet ﷺ gave gifts and accepted gifts. But because of the situation, gifts become haram. Even if it's a mushaf. Right? Even if you're giving a mushaf as a gift. If it's done before the loan being paid off. Can you as a lender give me a gift?
Yeah.
You give me a gift so I can pay you off first or quickly, soon. No problem. Who got the gain here?
The borrower
The borrower.
is lucky that the money and the gift.
Well, sometimes, some borrowers, Allah yadihum, and may Allah guide us all. And that's one of the main reasons people don't lend money anymore. People borrow money and they don't want to pay anymore. Well, and the lenders become a beggar and humiliate himself to get his money back. And maybe he needs it. He's in need. He's in need. Well, who wants to lend after that? If you go through that experience, you think you want to lend? I was in school and I remember when a brother approached me in Philly and he wanted $150. $150 so he can pay his rent. I only had $149 and I gave him the whole thing. It's supposed to pay me in a month. Okay? In a month. Months pass. The last statement that resonates in my head until today, when I asked him, he said, I did not force you to lend me money. I asked you, but I did not force you. So you get people. You think I want to lend anyone after that? I still will, but you think I will? Someone like that? Some people, they just lose trust when they experience such. Maybe once. It only takes one to break your back.
Was a Muslim?
Some people like, yeah, Muslim. Yes, even in the masjid.
I don't think you one point before we
Yeah.
talk about. You said if the borrower benefits from the loan,
Yeah.
it's okay, and you gave an example. But you also said before you give the example that if the borrower and the lender both get benefits,
Yeah.
it might be okay. Do you have an example of that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
We also said, so now we understand any benefit that comes to the lender solely by himself. And we talked about any benefit that comes to the lender by himself solely. We said one mainly is permissible. Now talking about the gift, just before I move to the next point, talking about the gifts, if the only exception that the borrower or the lender can take the gift and it's okay before it's time to pay off or after it's paid off, is if it's a usual habit, if it's the custom. What that means, the custom? The custom between both of them, not the custom between people in that area. Or people are accustomed that when someone lends money, they give him a gift. The borrower gives the lender a gift. Now, that is still riba. But the custom between both of them. Okay, so if you lend me $1,000, but usually before even I ask you to lend me, for the last 3-4 years, every time, let's say, I go out of the country, I bring you a gift, we're close friends. Usually you ask to borrow money from close friends, all right? Or you buy me the same thing, stuff like that. So if I'm the borrower and I am accustomed to buy you gifts every time I leave the country, and you lend me $1,000 now, and then after that I left the country and I came back and I brought you a gift, and still I have to pay you back in a month, that is no problem. All right? Why? Because this gift was something that we were doing before. All right? So it didn't happen, it was not created as a result of the loan. Because we said, any loan that brings benefit. But it's not any benefit is haram. Any loan that leads to benefit. All right? So if it's the custom between me and you, and the habit that I give you gifts, you give me gifts, and now you lend me some money, but I continue with this custom between the two of us, there's no problem with such loan, with such gift. The third type is the benefit between both. If the benefit of the borrower and the lender is almost equal, okay, and compatible, then it's okay. Example, let's say you come to me today here, alright? And you ask me to lend you $1,000. I lend you $1,000. We're going after a month for Hajj, both of us. Inshallah. Right? Inshallah. Alright? For example, I tell you, you have to pay me after a month, we agree. Listen, I don't want to carry money out of the country, okay? I don't want to be questions and answers and all that. You give me the $1,000 in Mecca. You also have money in Mecca. So here the benefit for you and a benefit for me. Got it? And that's okay. So if we both agree that you pay me somewhere else, for example, that's an example, in another country, in another city, in another whatever, that because of the way it's being paid, it's more beneficial to both of us, so I don't have to carry money with me, I might lose it, all right? When I wear my ihram in the plane, I don't have pockets, you know, stuff like that. So it's more beneficial for me to get it there, so that's benefit for me. It's easier for you to get it there because you have money there, and it's difficult for them to wire it to the States. So you go to your money and you get me the $1,000. So you have benefit, I have benefit. All right? That is okay. That is okay. That is your example. Allah barik. All right? So stuff like that. So we have talked about the 3 different scenarios that can take place. So now we understand the main thing and the focus when it comes to loans is benefit, is gain as a result of the loan. So now we understand whoever gets the gain or the benefit, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's haram. In general, when the lender gets the benefit, it's riba. In general, when the borrower gets the benefit, it's okay. In general, we don't have to do it. That's very an exception, that both of them. But in general, it's okay if the benefit is compatible. All right? Another example, just to make it easy. I borrowed from you $1,000. I have to pay you today. I come to you and I say, can you give me another month? Is that permissible or not? Of course. Is that benefit for me?
The borrower.
To the borrower. No riba. Again, because the general rule for the borrower, any benefit is okay. All right? I lend you $1,000. The example I mentioned before, the forgiveness thing. I give you $1,000. You give me $1,000. It's time to pay. I tell you, listen, I know you owe me $1,000. I have only $700, and I know I have to pay today $100. It's my payment. But do you think if I give you the $700 one shot, you'll forgive me for the rest? If you say yes, is that benefit for me or not? Yes. That's permissible. All right? So now.
He said when it comes to money, you have to be equal. Let's say for $1,000 US,
Yeah.
you have to give me back 1,000.
Now.
But you went to Saudi Arabia and
Right.
you have the dirham.
Yeah.
You can give equal to the dollars.
La, every currency itself, every country's coin itself, is one kind of money. So a dollar is one kind of money. Dinar, Jordanian dinar, is another kind of money. Saudi riyal is another kind of money. So that means when I exchange Saudi riyal with American dollar, they have to be on the spot, but they don't have to be equal. It's like when I'm buying gold. I'm using dollars to buy gold. Okay? They have to be on the spot, but did we ever say that the weight of the gold has to equal the weight of the dollars? No. Because gold is different, some kind of money, and dollars is a different kind of money. And the same thing with all the currencies. Each currency, each country, whatever, has its own money. And that is considered separate. Just to take you back, to make you understand. When we talk about exchanging money, we said two conditions have to be met. On the spot, simultaneously, and equal. So what are the kinds of money that falls in this category? Gold, silver. That's the main two. Because that's what they used to use in the past. And that is what the hadith mentioned. Okay? Okay? ذهب بالذهب والفضة بالفضة. So if I'm exchanging gold, and the third thing that is contemporary thing is money, the paper money. Now in the past they used to use gold and silver for money. The coins were used to be made out of gold and silver. Dinar made out of gold, and dirham made out of silver. But today we have a new thing, which is the currency. All right. So we have this category that has these three monies, three different kinds of money. But now dahab, gold is gold, silver is silver. The third, which is money, includes too many things: dollar, dirham, dinar, peso, whatever it is you want to call it. But each one is a different entity. So the way is gold different than silver, it's the way that American dollar is different than Jamaican dollar. All right, different than Guyanese dollar, different than Jordanian dinar or Moroccan dirham. Right? Each one itself entity. Now, so I have all these kinds: gold, silver, American dollar, and everything else. All right? If I exchange from the same category, meaning gold with gold, it has to be equal and on the spot. If I exchange silver with silver, equal and on the spot. If I change dollars with dollars, American with American, equal and on the spot. Saudi riyal with Saudi riyal, equal and on the spot. If I exchange, that is called, let's say, intra exchange, meaning in between, within. Let's talk about inter, meaning between. One intra means within, inter between. So if I exchange gold with silver, it has to be on the spot. But it doesn't have to be equal, because gold is more than silver. So you don't give 10 grams of gold, expect 10 grams of silver in return, or vice versa. So, but the other condition has to be met, which is on the spot. Now that is one category, it's called the monies. Okay? Athman. And the other category, which is food, for example. And we mentioned few conditions. It can be weighed, it's edible, all that. Rice. So you have rice, wheat, dates, raisins. That is different category. People don't buy and sell using these things. People buy and sell using gold, silver, and currency. So with those things, as the hadith said, the same story. So we have dates, we have burr, we have raisins, we have wheat, we have dates. If I go exchange date with date, it got to be similar on the spot.
Why would
Don't tell
somebody-
me, nah,
Why would somebody change something similar, but dates for dates?
different kinds.
They have to be,
I have a great brand, a great class of dates.
but you're saying it has to be the same weight.
Yes, so who gonna do that?
2 pounds and you give me 2 pounds of
Yes.
that one.
Yes. Now why someone would do that?
Sadaqah.
Benefit, yeah.
So,
Some people have different reasons. Okay, so again to the rule is if I exchange if I exchange wheat with wheat or dates with dates, it doesn't matter what kind of dates it is. You know, if you've gone to Saudi Arabia or a Muslim country or a country that sells dates, you can walk in the store and they have 1,000 stacks, 1,000 kind. You can get a pound for 1 riyal, and you can get a pound for
Same as that.
10 riyals, 100 and 1,000, whatever. All right? That doesn't make any difference. If this called dates and this called dates, of course each one has its own name, but if this is dates and this is dates, if you want to exchange them, then you better exchange the same amount on the spot. Now what? But I have good dates, but I want the other kind. Or I have bad dates, I want the other kind. What can I do?
Sell them
You
and
sell
go buy.
them.
I sell my bad dates, and I go buy the good
Or
dates.
you can-
Now, why I can't do that? Because now I'm exchanging different amounts when I buy and sell. Because you're gonna buy and sell using money, using gold, using silver, using dollar, using riyal, and you are selling dates, which is 2 different categories. So within the same category, if you exchange the same thing, it has to be equal and on the spot. If you exchange between in the same category, it has to be on the spot, but doesn't have to be equal. If you exchange between those 2 big categories, then you can. It doesn't have to be in the same. It doesn't have to be on the spot. I can give you $10 today for a pound of dates, and you bring me the pound of dates tomorrow. There is no problem. All right? So that is when we talk about the issue of riba. That is where qurud came as an exception. Why? Because when I tell you I lend you $100 and you have to pay me back how much? $100, right? That is loan without riba. $100 fall in this category. And we understood that if I exchange, if I give you 100, you have to give me 100 back
In the spot.
on the spot simultaneously, the same amount. But now we are violating the condition of
This
on the spot. That is the exception for this golden rule, to make it easy on people when they borrow and then they lend and they borrow. So you got it? Okay. All right. Let's talk about some contemporary applications of a loan, of riba, that some transactions, some dealings that we do, and to see where the riba is and where it's not. Where it's things that a lot of us are doing, need to avoid, and sometimes it's beyond our control. The first thing is general loans. If you want, in general, if you walk into any bank and you tell them I want to borrow $10,000, it's just right there they tell you it's 5%. You pay us back $12,000, for example, whatever it is. Okay, that is riba, right? That is riba. So most of the banks, unless it's strictly Islamic, and when I say strictly Islamically, that means really Islamic, because a lot of banks out there call themselves Islamic banking, and they are not. Okay, the way they do it is just tricks, hila. All right. So in general, most banks in the world, you walk in to borrow X amount of money, you usually pay back more. That is riba, riba al-qurud. That is something we all know, and we all know and understand it's haram. Now this kind of riba involves 2 types of riba. There's riba called riba al-fadl, and there is riba called riba al-nasiya. Okay. Riba al-fadl meaning you lend me $10,000, I pay you back $12,000. That 2,000 is fadl, is extra. That is riba, one kind of riba. Okay. I give you $10,000, you pay me back in a year $12,000. The fact he gave me a year to pay back and charge me $2,000, that is called riba nasiya. Nasiya means delay, postpone. So the fact that I'm giving you a year to pay back, I will charge you riba on it. I will charge you interest on it. Alright? That is it. Now, if you ask him for 2 years payback, is that 12,000 going to stay the same?
No.
No. That's going to go up. So here they combine, such loans combine between riba nasiya and riba al-fadl. Fadl means extra. And nasiya means delay in the future. Okay? So both are combined in such transactions. And that is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَأْكُلُوا الرِّبَا أَضْعَافًا مُضَاعَفًا. What that happens, this ayah revealed about the riba of al-jahiliyyah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, riba al-jahiliyyah تحت قدمي, riba al-abbas تحت قدمي. The riba of al-jahiliyyah under my foot. And the riba of al-abbas under my foot. What that is, the way they used to work is what banks do today. You go, you borrow $10,000, okay, you pay me in a year $12,000. Or you borrow $10,000, you pay me in a year $12,000. That's riba al-jahiliyyah. But what they used to do too, which is exactly what they do today, the person will come, the borrower will come to the lender in the jahiliyyah and tell him, listen, I can't pay you now. It's due date today. I can't pay you. So the lender will tell him, اقضي أو أربي. Either you pay now, or we will charge you riba. Riba usually means what?
Pay more.
That's
Huh?
العلو
Or interest, yeah.
زيادة.
Ziyada. Riba in Arabic language means extra, increase. So he will tell him, either you pay now what you owe me, of course it depends on the agreement, or I will charge you riba. I will increase it. So your loan now is more. That is riba al-jahiliyyah. That's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تأكلوا الربا أضعافا مضاعفة. O you who believe, do not eat a riba multiplied many times. Multiplied means they used to do that. I owe you $10,000, it's time to pay off. I can't, so you say, we will increase it, we will double it. And the more it goes on, is the more it increases as long as I'm not paying. So, إِمَّا تَقْضِي أَوْ تُرْبِي. Also, what falls into that, riba duyun, okay? Debts, the same thing. Qurud, what do you can apply the same to the same thing. That's where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَذَرُوا مَا بَقِيَ مِنَ الرِّبَا. O you who believe, fear Allah and abandon what's left of a riba. It's over. You don't do that, it's a war from Allah and the Messenger on you. Okay? Alright. Second type, so this type is obvious. It says we are loans with riba. No one can say, oh, I didn't know it was riba. It's obvious. They give you $1,000 and they tell you pay back $1,200. That is riba. Ayn al-riba. Alright? Another kind of riba that doesn't look like riba. Okay? But the fundamental of it, the basics of it, the foundations of it is, or I shouldn't say riba. It doesn't look like loans, but actually it is. They call it with different names, but actually it is loans. And if it's loans, then all the rules we talked about apply to. You see, all the rules I mentioned apply to the loans, lending and borrowing. So if a transaction is not considered loans fundamentally, then we cannot apply those things to it. No one can say, oh, I'm selling some clothes and I'm making some money out of it. You know what? That is benefit for me. The brother said haram. No. I'm not talking about selling. We're talking about loans. Benefit for the lender. Loans. Haram. there are transactions and things that we have and we do look like to be not loans. People don't call them loans. No one calls them loans, but fundamentally they are loans. So if they are fundamentally loans, that means everything we mentioned applies to them. So when the borrower gets money, it's riba. When the lender gets money or a kickback, it's riba. Alright? So we need to understand them very well. Okay. First, حسابات المصرفي. Bank accounts. Bank account, no one in the world calls, is going to open a bank account, right? So no one says, I'm going to lend the bank money. Does it? Does anyone, did you ever hear someone saying that? But in reality it is. You're lending the bank money. When you put money in your account, or when you open an account, you are lending the bank money. So that means every single rule we mentioned applies to your bank account. Alright. Now, just to make it clear, bank accounts, CDs, certificates of deposit or whatever, right? Annuities, ودائع, is that what it is? ودائع, whatever it is, every equity, whatever it is, I don't know exactly what it is. But mainly, I mean most people, and when we talk about things here, we're talking about the things that concern the majority. Most people deal with bank accounts, right? So our focus, most of us don't have enough money to put in CDs. You know, we can buy CDs, but we cannot put in CDs.
They're free.
Cheap
The what?
You give them to us for free.
No, it's okay. No interest. Actually, you're giving me an idea. All right. So the point is, bank accounts, they don't call it loans, but in reality it is. Got it? How? Who's the lender?
You.
You. The account holder. Who's the borrower? The bank. So, if the bank is getting some benefits, is that okay or not?
It is a benefit to
From
their
you?
borrowing.
From the transaction.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
From one side only.
If you're getting benefits,
It's not okay.
you're the lender. So the bank is taking your money, borrowing your money, making a lot of money, paying you back pennies, and you're the one accountable.
I'm charging you fees too.
We'll talk about all these things. We'll talk about it because some, as again, some things, some benefits are, and some aren't. Okay? So, bank accounts, whether it's saving or checking or whatever. Saving, usually, you put the money on hold. You can't touch. All right? Usually with saving accounts, do they issue checkbooks for you?
No.
No.
Because you're not expecting to be using it. And they will tell you, we promise you 1.5% or whatever it is. But you keep this money, you don't touch. It's not operational, right? That is saving. Checking account is daily activities, this and that. So, in general, bank accounts, lending and borrowing, it's loans, okay? So what we have mentioned applies to it. Okay, but now we need to talk in a little bit more. Now, someone can say also one of the things. Listen, you said if both are benefiting, it's okay. If the borrower and the lender are benefiting, it's okay. And here the bank is benefiting, I'm benefiting, that means saving accounts are okay. Where's the problem with that?
It's not the same benefit.
It's not the same benefit. It's not even close. Now, when I said it's okay for the bank to benefit, because usually when you give a loan, They do whatever they want with it. You come and you ask me for $1,000 more, as long as I think it's halal. But if I think the person asking me for money wants to borrow money from me to use it in haram, it becomes haram for me to help him on it and to give him that loan. So when we say the bank is okay to benefit because he's the borrower, if what he's investing the money in is halal ways. It's halal ways. Okay? So, now all of the banks that are not Islamically based invest in anything, halal or haram. And most of it actually, most of your money is taken and given as what? As loans to other people with riba. Alright? So from this perspective, you become someone helping on munkar and ithm and udwan. So in general, these bank accounts in a non-Islamic based banking is haram. Because you are lending money to be used in a haram way, in a riba way, in haram investing. They will lend to alcohol, they will lend for anything. That is haram. There's no restriction on what investment or what projects they can finance. Yeah. Getting there. Alright? So in general, this is the rule. Bank accounts are haram. Saving, checking, whatever. Anything, transaction in those ribawi banks, banks based on riba, is haram. Even some of the ulama said, it's haram for you to work in a bank to sweep the floor. To sweep the floor. Alright? That is something we don't say anyone is forced to sweep the floor in a bank. Okay? Because you are supporting and helping. Now, as a borrower, I'm getting benefits. I'm getting my money protected. Now let's assume that the bank is Islamic. I'm getting my money protected. I'm getting checkbooks. I'm getting ATM card, checking card. I'm getting special prices for some services. You know, they might do a wiring for you for free or whatever. They give you cashier checks for free. All this stuff. So all these stuff are benefits for me as a borrower. Okay? The lender, his benefit mainly is investing. The bank. The borrower. The borrower is his main benefit is his investment. He's investing your money. Okay? Now, are these okay? Okay? Usually these are okay. Okay? And the reason for that is the bank, when he gives you ATM card, he's getting a benefit from it. So he give you a card, so you don't have to go to the bank and make it busy. That means they don't have to hire as many people. They don't have to have traffic. They don't have. So usually the benefit is comparable. So these things are overlooked. Okay? Overlooked. The benefit that both parties are getting. Okay. Now, if you're talking about Islamic banking, let's say they charge you a fee, monthly fee. There's no problem with that. Okay? Now someone will say, but they're getting benefit. They are borrowing your money and they're charging you. They're charging you for services. So there's no problem with that. Okay? Services. There are people taking care of that, few transactions, all that. So all these are small things that are not the main reason for tahrim, for why something like that or bank accounts are haram. The main thing, as we said, is you put in a bank. If you are checking, most checking accounts don't have any interest on, even though some banks now they give you interest. But and excuse just for the lack of terms, we're using the word interest, and it's really one interest for one side, and that is the financial institute. The person has no interest, and but the main reason is that what they use it for. Mainly, it's in haram, The second thing, if you are getting something in return, that is also haram because you're a lender and you're benefit. All right? So that's what makes these bank accounts haram. Now someone might ask, what can I do? Okay? I can't keep my money in my pocket. Give it to you. I can't take all the money out of the bank and keep it in my house. It's not safe. If they know you have $1,000 in the house, you're done. You know, in some areas. So that's where the ulama said, ضرورات تبيح المحظورات. Necessities, okay, and issues out of control make what's haram permissible. Permissible. Okay? And it says permissible, not wajib, not halal. Permissible. Mubah. Okay? So, what we say is, if you have, and most of us have to, now usually a lot of things, you cannot go and take cash to pay it. Okay? So you have to have checks. So, in this country, I have no doubt, and the ulama have mentioned, and a lot of countries, not this country only, that it's a necessity to have a bank account. However, this bank account cannot be saving. It has to be checking, meaning you're not getting any interest. You're not getting any interest. And if you are getting some, you need to get rid of it. But if you are in a bank where you're getting interest on your money in a checking account, then switch. Alright? وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ.
The bank will be more than happy to take it off if you go ask.
Yeah, take care of it. They can keep it. We don't want it.
If you're not getting no interest on savings, so over that, you tell them, look, we don't want no interest on saving.
So why you haven't saving?
No, just safekeeping instead of checking.
Save in the checking account too. Isn't it?
No, saving is different from checking.
You don't trust yourself.
Saving is different.
The main thing we're talking about is the interest. Because usually when we talk about checking, there is no interest. When we talk about saving, there is interest. Okay? But at the same time, maybe I'm wrong with this thing, but most probably the bank is more inclined to use your money that is in saving than the money in checking. But in general, there is no person's money. It's all together. You know, if we think about it that way. But the point is, you want to have it, if you have to have an account, and usually, as we said, if there's a reason you have to have an account, it's not safe to have your money on the street. It's not safe to have your money under your pillow. It's not safe to have it in your pocket, you know? I have a couple of hundreds of dollars in my pocket, and I got pulled by the cop the other day, and I take out my stuff to look for the insurance card, and he said, wow, you're carrying a lot of money with you.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, most people don't carry money in this country. The funny thing is, when I used to work in a dry cleaner, and the guy comes to pick up his clothes and he wants to pay, he will pick this huge stack of money, folded, but usually it's all singles on top. And then he will open it, and the 20s and the 50s are inside. They're scared. They're afraid. Okay? When I was in Philadelphia, Chinese guy was killed for $1. Two people rob him, they find $1 with him. They walk away, then they tell themselves, maybe he's gonna go and tell about us. They go back and they shoot him for $1. It's not safe, all right? So maybe it's a necessity. Maybe it's actually dangerous for you to carry it, all right? So if that is the case, then you need to do as little as you can, okay? Meaning, this becomes a door for you to put your money in a bank, even though in general it's haram, but this is the exception. Don't go so far. Don't say, oh, since they said this bank account is okay, then I'm gonna go saving account, and I'm gonna collect, and go CD. They said it's having account. All these things are called accounts. All right? The same thing with insurance. Insurance is haram. Car insurance is haram. But some people say, okay, it's okay. So some of the ulama said it's okay because out of necessity. Yes, it's out of necessity. But that doesn't mean you have to go and buy full coverage. By no means that gives you the permission. You go and you buy the minimum that you can get away with. All right? So that is where the taqwa comes in. That's where how much I fear Allah and how much am I taking these things, privileges, and abusing them. All right. So be aware of that. Okay. Now someone might ask, is there an alternative for these loans? We talked about Bab al-Salam, Bay al-Salam. That's an alternative. There's also alternative that some Islamic bankings do, is you buy stuff from them and you sell it, and that's where you get cash. What is the benefit the bank is doing? The bank is selling you something, and they can sell you as much for whatever price they want. For example, you need $50,000. A car in the market is worth $50,000. You can sell it for $50,000. The bank holds this car, has a car like that. Okay? So you go to the bank, you tell them, I want to buy this car. They say, will sell it to you for $70,000. As long as you accept the price, that is okay. So they sell you the car for $70,000 or $60,000, and you pay them over, let's say, a year or two. You take the car and you go sell it for $50,000. Now you have $50,000. All you need to do is over the next 2 years pay off the $60,000 you owe to the bank on the car. But the issue here, the condition, the bank must own the car. The bank must have the car. The bank must be the one who gives you the car. Because there is other issue where other banks will take the same idea, and it's all on papers. There is no car, there is no house, there is nothing. So okay, we will sell you a Toyota for $20,000, and it's yours, and we sold it for you too. In other words, we sold it to you, and then we're gonna sell it for you. And come back in 2 hours, we will give you the $15,000, whatever. You understand? So I want $15,000. The Toyota is worth $15,000 in the market. They're gonna sell it to me for $20,000, so I can pay them over a year. And then I come back in 2 hours, and they will give me the 15 because they already sold it for me. So 2 hours ago they sold it to me, and they're so nice, they're gonna sell it to me. But there was no car. Such car that never existed. No one bought it, no one sold it. It's only on paper. So these are tricks these banks play to make it look like Islamic.
It's not considered that they're taking advantage of you because you need the money to increase the price.
No. Okay. If you agree on the price, you agree. There's agreement between. This is a way to make it easy on people. Okay? That's tawarruq shari'i. All right? Make it easy on people. Usually, an Islamic bank will not abuse it. Okay? If it's $50,000, because remember, by itself, the idea can be trick. But there is a third factor in such transaction, and that is what? Ta'jeel. Ta'jeel has a value, is worth something. In other words, I'm gonna give you $50,000, and the fact that you're gonna pay me over the next 5 years, that 5 years has value. So if you look at the car, the $70,000, because they're selling it to you over 5 years. It's not because they're selling it to you and you're gonna pay them on the right after a day or two. Because that $50,000, as we said, we agreed 5 years later is worth more. You understand? So financing in Islam is okay. I can finance for you with interest is okay. So interest, the word interest by itself doesn't mean automatically haram. If you come to buy my car and I tell you it's $10,000, if you pay me on the spot, but if you want me to finance it for you over a year, it's $15,000, nothing wrong with that. That $5,000 extra, I'm entitled to over a year. I can take the $10,000 right away from someone else and invest it, and over a year it can make me the $5,000, for example. So the fact I'm charging you more over because I'm financing for you, well, I'm entitled for that money. I make it easier for you, and you also benefit me. But here it's not selling and buying, it's what? It's not lending and borrowing, it's selling and buying. حل الله البيع حرم الربا. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to talk about tonight, and we will continue inshallah next week. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. صلى الله على محمد. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.